Hey everyone, welcome back to the Guided Programming Coaching Call. You can see we got a little bit of a different format going this week. I've got Ross Lepela here with me. Ross is going to be more involved with these in the future, so we want to start getting you seeing him more often and getting him to chime in and help you guys with the questions that you've got. Ross is one of our assistant coaches. He's also our operations manager. So I think he's going to bring a lot of really great perspective and helpful advice to you guys. So with that said, let's talk about the first question for this week. The first question says, my squat estimated 1 rep max of various forms, low bar, high bar, etc., has not gone up. It's not also not decreased for nearly 6 months. Some of these 6 months predates starting with guided programming. It's been frustrating. My squat is probably the worst of my 3 lifts, and I'm not an advanced trainee. With your help, I've figured out my deficiencies, and I've been following your prescriptions. I understand it will take time for these things to start working, but I was curious what you think about switching my squat protocol. I think this means that I need to switch training groups, but I was hoping that a fresh protocol might be nice to try, but I wanted to hear what you think. Um, just some quick thoughts on that before I kind of let Ross chime in here. Um, I think that it kind of depends on how long you've been trying the new prescriptions. Uh, in the context of guided programming, I would say give it a month. You know, if you've given it that amount of time and it's not improving, if it's not if you're not seeing some forward movement, then we probably need to do something different. But we're in a situation where if it's working for the bench and the deadlift, then we've got to make a decision on whether switching training groups is going to be better for you overall. Ross, kind of with that said, what's your thoughts on changing training strategies? How long do you usually give a training strategy before you start thinking about switching to a different one?
I would have to say generally around the time frame of a month, maybe a little longer, 2 months, depending on the person where they're at in their training. I think if squat and bench, or if bench and deadlift are responding to the training and they're kind of in a similar loading pattern, then maybe that's just for that particular person, they have to work a little bit harder to get progress in their squat. Because not all lifts are going to progress in the same manner, and sometimes there's going to probably be some points in time in the training life that a lift is kind of just stagnant, and be patient and remember to focus in on the process of your movement and look at things like that. Make sure you're dialed in there. It never hurts to consider what you're eating. Nutrition can play a part of it, but I couldn't imagine that nutrition would play a part in just one lift if the other two are responding. So it's probably not that big of a
Yeah. I mean, it's
consider.
it's I think one of those things that's worthwhile to mention. But whether that's kind of I'm with you. Whether that's going to be the thing that holds one lift back or not, I mean, kind of don't see that. But yeah, I mean, typically,
One lift back, I think the lift back that's like second in the training week. If you're deadlifting first and then squatting, potentially not having enough food intake, squat could suffer as a result from a pattern like that.
yeah, and I've heard of situations where people have trouble with, let's say, a bench press because they're not allowing their weight to increase. But uh, like you said, I can't think of a reason why that would be a significant player here. But yeah, just to kind of reiterate, I would say if it's been, a month and you're not seeing any positive movement, it may take a bit longer for it to be really appreciable progress. But if you're looking at your estimated 1RM charts and you're not seeing any forward progress and you've been banging on it for at least a month, I mean, you should see some forward movement by then. If it's not looking at least somewhat positive, then yeah, it's time to consider making some changes. So, all right, thanks for the question.